Yo, everyone, we are live. What's up? This is FSP, that's Fun Speculation Podcast, episode number 135. And we have some fun news to talk about today, as well as some other random stuff. We were talking about the good old days in the background before the show, or it started. And Jasper was talking about how much fun he had at a party this weekend. So that was interesting to hear. But I hope everyone is doing fantastic on this Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. And today, to talk about some of this awesome news, we are joined by fellow speculators themselves, the one and only 3-Bit. What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I just what a busy week I had. There's a lot of work stuff popped up this week. But I've been surviving. I did get to play a little bit of this the heck is it called? Split
Split
game. It takes
fiction?
two.
Split
Split
fiction?
Split
fiction.
fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really liking it so far. It gets better and better throughout the different levels. It's like very creative. Like how they're handling the levels and stuff. So I mean, I was a huge fan of It Takes Two, so even bigger fan of this one. It's definitely I'm starting to see how people are saying this is their game of the year. So I can't wait to finish it and see some of the levels. I'm on this. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm in a maybe it's the third, fourth level, something like that. And some cool things are happening. So um that and just work, man. It's just that's pretty much been my week. I just been doing a lot of upcoming commercial stuff. Maybe game stuff again. We'll see. Thinking about it. I think Fuzz knows already. Um, and we'll see. We'll see. But glad to be here. I see everybody in chat. Hello, Talos, Ray, Nisa. Good to see you guys, and we're gonna have a good show today.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a fun one. I think today's a fun show because we had a lot of speculation on things starting early last year and maybe a little bit the year before on kind of where some things are headed. And today it seems like some of the leaks that have come through um, today are kind of confirming some of our thoughts on some of this stuff. So we're going to have some fun talking about that in a little bit. Fuzzy Belvedere, how you doing, sir?
Doing great. Glad to be here with you guys. Been just playing a lot of, well, I wouldn't say random games, but a variety of games. Hopped back into the division for a quick minute earlier today. It's week 2 of the drops. Or I guess I had enough of Twitch running in the background that I already got all of this week's drops. The legendary, or what do you call it? Legendary part, a named item, and then some weapon skins and a patch. So it's worthwhile checking out people playing Division 2 on Twitch for at least for right now. Playing a ton of Forza Horizon 5 and GT 7. And I always get people negative comments on one and not realizing that I have a post for the other, just minutes
Yeah.
away. So it is what it is. But, just enjoying some games. Still playing a good bit of Avowed, but not as far as I'd like to be because I've been, mixing things up a bit. But just busy gaming. Glad to be here to talk about some of these topics, and actually some breaking news with that whole handheld, which we'll get into. But we've kind of been looking forward to this for a while now, and can't wait to get into it.
Right on, man. Well, appreciate you being here as always. And then we got Jasper. How you feeling, Jasper?
I'm like 99% now. So I'm good. I got work later tonight, so I got to be ready. And then then I've just been up to Monster Hunter, and then I finished Sniper Elite Resistance because Adamfall comes out in a couple weeks, so needed to delete a game. So
I've been seeing some of those clips from Adamfall where you can just literally kill everybody in the game. So that sounds pretty fun. I like it might feel a little empty. It might feel like Fallout 76.
yeah, I'm wondering how that
at
works for
launch.
how that works for like quests and stuff. Like if you need to go like talk to this dude or whatever, but you've already killed him, like
Maybe they have
You
like
just
a note on their body or drop
oh
something.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's like how a lot of games do it. Like they'll have, oh, this interesting letter was on this guy that tells you how to activate this quest or whatever. Who
yeah,
knows? But I'm really looking forward to that game too, man. I think it's gonna be. I think it's like one that's kind of under the radar that's gonna like surprise people. Could be wrong, but Rebellion's made good quality stuff always, but more so on the, I would
yeah.
say, multiplayer slash co-op s kind of stuff. This is kind
I'm
of
kind
different for
of
them.
wanting to see how like them building like an RPG kind of like
Yeah,
this actually plays out because they usually just kind of do more linear focused like story games. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this open world. Like I'm kind of expecting a lot of jank out of it, to be honest.
it could have some jank, like some like Bethesda style jank, right?
Yeah, just because like I mean the Sniper Elite games like they got a little jank to them, but it's like super
Yeah.
linear, so it's like all right, you know?
hmm But like the weird thing is like something like Zombie Army, right? Like the co-op multiplayer on that, like it feels super polished, So it's like
Yeah,
I've kind of like, how is this game going to be? Because it's just something so different for them. But that's what's more intriguing than getting another Zombie Army, another Sniper Elite. Like if this one hits, it could be really cool, and it's like it's open sandbox genre of games. It's just super fun and dynamic a lot of times, and that's what it seems like this is going to be. So it's kind of like putting their solid gameplay to the task in a different style, So,
yeah.
and we don't have to make a decision whether to buy it or not because luckily it's in Game Pass day and date, so we'll get to try it and see how it hits. So, yeah, that's later this month. Also later this month is GDC
Yep.
as well, and as we've been talking about for a while, Xbox said they were going to be having news at GDC this year. They're going to be at GDC. They're going to talk more about their Xbox Everywhere thing, their Xbox app, and stuff like that. They're going to be showing
AI.
devs behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, AI as well, 3-bit. Yeah, you're right. They're going to be showing devs the behind the scenes kind of looks at like some of the stuff they're doing to make development for Xbox Anywhere, Xbox Everywhere, like something that is intriguing to devs, and I'm curious what that is. But we could have just gotten even a bigger hint at that today, as Jez from Windows Central, as usual, is one of the first ones to kind of break some of these stories, and it's something that we speculated on quite a bit. As if Xbox didn't have their own device hit, then what would come sooner would be potentially one of those third party devices, which was alluded to already by Jason Ronald at CES, saying that we were going to see something later this year when they roll out more of their unified ecosystem. How he talked about trying to unify Windows and the console and the storefront for PC and all this other kind of stuff into some kind of a unified experience. And this was at the same event at CES where Steam had also announced their partnership with another handheld device maker, launching their first third party device as well to go along with their Steam Deck. There is now a third party device out there that runs Steam natively, as well. And this is going to be Xbox's first foray into a third party device running I don't know if you want to call it a launcher, a dedicated OS more so built around Xbox, an updated version of Windows that's more built for gaming. And I think that's something that we've alluded to many times on this show about what I think Xbox has been having all hands on deck on in the background, because could be a potential glimpse into what the future of the platform looks like. I don't think this device, when it launches, will be necessarily this is what it's going to be, but I think it's going to set the building blocks in a way to where you're getting a device out there, Rumors are it could be Asus has a third-party device that will be running an Xbox looking handheld, Xbox default boot right into Xbox mode and all that other kind of stuff. More details need to come exactly about what's going to be available to play, and all what kind of access you're going to have on that device. But I think whatever it looks like there will set kind of the table to have a device out there. Xbox have something out there in the wilds where they can get feedback and learn from, put updates out into to build up into where they have their first native handheld device and also their next gen launch, which could be potentially built on this same idea of a Xbox OS running everything as a PC more so than a console, right? So it's going to be interesting, and this is where in the thumbnail, it's like, hey, the device wars is beginning now. Steam has partners, Xbox has partners. Xbox will have a native. Steam already has a native. PlayStation is going to be behind the 8 ball in this. They have their PS. What's the thing called?
Portal.
Yeah, the PS Portal, right? They've added some functionality to it, but it's extremely limited. But we know they are supposed to be also prototyping a handheld device of their own. And as they've said a couple years ago, they're supposed to be at some point launching as a PC storefront. Maybe there's some rumblings behind the scenes, according to someone who's said something before the show about possibilities, what that could look like in the future for PlayStation as well. But overall, this is kind of setting the table for where we see the future of gaming kind of going, where there's not just dedicated devices for each platform, but there's multiple devices created by multiple manufacturers that are going to be supporting the ecosystem. But not only the ecosystem that is the launcher, be more open-ended devices where you can also load other launchers into the back end or also other storefronts as well. Sounds a lot like an Xbox hybrid device to me. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting to see, and this is where I think Xbox is headed. Now, 3-bit, because you're coming from the dev side and you have a little experience working on game stuff,
Mhm.
I've had the biggest challenge mentally trying to wrap my brain around how it will work as a unified ecosystem between handhelds, PC, consoles, when licensing wise and also development wise, they've been different specs in the past, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you could develop for PC, but how does that work for your Xbox library, which I would say the majority of all of us in the chat have probably sizable Xbox libraries, right? But
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily translate to the PC store because a lot of games are not currently in the PC store. They said they're adding more and more. But accessing your console library is a key aspect to making something like this successful, in my opinion. That's why the native Xbox handheld device might be the most exciting thing to look forward to, unless they figure that out with some kind of unified ecosystem to make it possible to access your console games otherwise. Now, I know it's a lot, but
Yeah.
how do you see something like that working? Because I think that's what the future looks like. Just don't know how it works. Maybe emulation. I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, luckily, modern day game engines, like the same programming languages and frameworks are used. It's kind of just um, how, I guess, how they figure out the mobile side. And that's something we kind of been talking about. It's like, if Xbox makes their mobile version of a console, like how do they make it where it's really beneficial for the people on a handheld device? Like I'm just curious on like are they gonna change the layout to be more mobile friendly? Are they just gonna I mean luckily they have a lot of the steps already there. Like they have the PC store, they have somewhat of a I mean they have the cloud app, right? And different things like that. So they already sort of have steps So that way, when developers start to approach them, or maybe they start to make it just mandatory, like going forth, if you make a game on Xbox, you're not just making it for one console. Like maybe they start just making a mandatory thing, like, hey, when you make a game, it's not just going to be on Series X and S. It's also going to have to be on PC and other things. It's going to be interesting how they approach that, because with Xbox's vision of Xbox everywhere, like that means if you really want that vision to become a thing, you also have to incentivize developers to follow you with your vision. Luckily, they are having partners with, they have a ton of studios now, so they could basically be like, "Hey, do this," which is the benefit of having so many studios now, is they can start to mandate that in a way. And I mean, I support that, by the way. Like, I would love for me to just play a game on Xbox, and then I could play it on the PC, and then a mobile or handheld. Like, I think that's an awesome benefit for gamers for sure. Meanwhile, other platforms try to be more stricter or what have you. But I do think that is the future, and is very convenient for people, and I think it increases the ecosystem. On the development front, they have to figure out certain things, like they'll have to figure out texture memory, and they'll have to figure out like the build size and things like that, or how they're going to do the native device exactly according to like the space on this little handheld. I don't know exactly how they want to handle that. Do they just want to make it a cloud device like halfway? I don't really know. I would hope it's native, because that's, to me, that's probably the best way to go about it. Or if it's basically just like a Steam Deck, then cool. Um, and yeah, so we'll see. I have a lot of different thoughts on it, but I think the development side, it should be okay. There's a lot of engines now that, like, if you open up Unreal, you already have things built in Unreal to make it so you make a mobile version. It's built within the engine itself. Like, you can build the Xbox version of a game and sort of make it to the specs. You could do the same thing with Unity, for example, where you can kind of build the game as if like it's like a template almost. It's not going to be exact. It definitely helps to have a dev kit and other things, but luckily the way newer game engines are being built is almost built to be multi-platform, to make your game work in a variety of different ways. The way I kind of think about it is like when you build a website, without getting too nerdy, when you build a website on like a Squarespace or something like that, you build it in one framework, but it adapts to different sizes. What if people are looking at your site on your phone, your tablet, um, you make it once essentially, but they have a framework in place that it can kind of um, go to different devices. And I think that's what Xbox is trying to achieve, and that maybe that's something they want to talk about at GDC, is like making that process as seamless as possible. Because I think the biggest problem with Xbox, like development wise, is something I've been talking about for a while. Is it's not the console that a lot of developers prioritize. Like, they go straight to a PlayStation. So Xbox is kind of last in that regard. So that's where Xbox's features aren't always utilized, unless they're a first party studio. Um, but a lot of the features that they even have in the box aren't really utilized, because they go to Sony first and then Xbox kind of second. So as they formulate, if they make it as easy as possible, though, um, and just make that process like, hey, you're gonna put your game on like 4 or 5 different devices. Let's make that process super seamless. Right now, it's it's getting there from what I'm hearing, but it's still not completely there. So I think maybe that's something they want to address as they get into newer consoles, because when you are addressing like Xbox is everywhere, like this is your new vision. You also have to answer the question like, well, I don't want to leave people behind that also has the Series X and the Series S, and maybe even Xbox One. You don't want to leave those people behind. You want to grow, right? Like that's the downside of that messaging. Like if Xbox is everywhere and anywhere, then you really have to build from it and not get rid of things. So that's something they'll have to figure out, and make it so we could play games on Series X, play games on Series S, play games on PC, play it on mobile, and then make it so we could jump between all of those seamlessly. So it's a good problem to have in my opinion, and I love that that is their vision. I know a lot of people, negative Nancy's out there don't necessarily like that because of like that means they're losing the exclusive rights in a lot of ways. But to me, I'm just like, well, shoot, it's good. It's cool. It's cool that I would be able to play on stuff that I prefer to play
Yeah.
on. But yeah, that's essentially my thoughts. I think the developer side needs a little bit of work, and I'm pretty sure that's going to happen when you introduce new consoles is naturally because they're not getting rid of the Series X and S. So naturally, they're just going to clean up that pipeline a little bit. But it does help that engines already do that to
Right.
a pretty good degree. So
Yeah, and I think like first party is the easiest thing for them to answer because like first party you get access across PC, across console, across the cloud. So that's just gonna work. You know what I mean? And I think that the Game Pass games, that's not a problem either. You got Game Pass, all the games in there mostly are either streamable or playable in the cloud, or they're either on PC or console as well. Um, stream your own games is another avenue they can use, right? They're growing that library of stream your own games, and I think there's more news coming up with that at GDC as well. But playing your library natively on any device, it's an expensive device, I think is a key. You know what I mean? So having any device where it's okay, my only option is to play via the cloud is not necessarily going to entice most gamers. I think buying a beefy handheld device that could rival the other high end handhelds out there, and a lot of gaming, cheaper gaming PCs, if you want to say, like, I think that is something where you want to be able to access your library, your whole library. The biggest issue with Xbox right now is a lot of the new games that come out for third parties don't launch on the Xbox PC store, right? And they don't support Xbox anywhere. So that's something that they're trying to actively address at GDC, trying to promote developers to use that more. But there also could be another solution that they have that I can't think of, right? As some people have mentioned, like emulation and all these other kind of things, right? So I don't know how all that works, but there could be definitely a different solution to make console games play natively through a library on PC like devices. But we've yet to see it. So
yeah.
until that shows up, it's for me, it's just going to be like a curiosity question of like, what is this future of Xbox going to look like if this is the direction they're going? Because it could be more than just the native handheld, which could be built on the same kind of thing as well. Who knows? It could be more than just the other third party devices. In the future, when the consoles launch, we're talking about hybrid consoles. And this latest report from Jez hints that it's targeting 2027 for the launch as well for next gen. So we can kind of maybe move off of our 2026 list there. But for 2027, when that launches, I think it's key for this device for them to figure all this out, right? Like that's part of this is launching something like this now, or this year, good over a year before actual next gen launches to work out the bugs, grow support for it, figure out the things that are working and not working, and continue to create the true Xbox everywhere idea, and cement that. Interesting to note, like there was I've said numerous times that I think that's an all hands on deck thing behind the scenes because I think it's hand in hand with next gen, right? I think this whole thing, Xbox everywhere, Xbox anywhere, and the new devices they're creating, the third party partnerships, all this is like all hands on deck because they're building almost it's not necessarily a new platform, but it's like a new way of accessing the platform, right? And trying to make it to where you get the same experience no matter where you are. And that's got to be a big undertaking, right? So I think that's where most of the people are doing. And so I noticed something today because there's a site where you can go and you can like, if you're a content creator, a streamer, reviewer, games media or whatever, you can go and you can request, oh, okay, I would like to cover this game. I'd like to cover this game or stream this game or something. And then maybe they'll send it to you, maybe they won't, right? But there's one of the Xbox first party games on there that's coming up that was available to request and on the site, which Xbox supports the site quite often. I use it, but the actual platform checklist, because it'll ask you, okay, which platform do you want to cover this for, right? And if I remember correctly, it always said like Steam, Xbox PC, or Xbox Series X, S, or whatever, right? This time it said, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but oh well. This time for this game, it said Steam, Xbox Anywhere, or Xbox Series X or S.
What?
So I was like, it said, do you want to cover this on Steam, Xbox Anywhere, or Xbox Series X or S? It didn't say Xbox PC. It said Xbox Anywhere. So I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Like, why would there be like because if it's just an Xbox Series X or S, that is Xbox Anywhere. It's almost like they're changing the identity, maybe potentially the idea of the PC store to Xbox Anywhere.
I'm assuming it wasn't a first party game, right?
It was.
Oh, it was the first party? Okay.
Yeah.
Then that's different. I was gonna say because if it's third party, then maybe they just like weird. But if it's I mean,
it was south.
I don't know. I was trying to think like
it was south of midnight.
Yeah, I was just trying to think like because do they probably just give the keys to that place, but they don't make the listing, I would assume. So I'm trying to think if it's on the website or if it's on Xbox, they would have labeled that.
I don't know because the interesting thing is like on the site, the different publishers will kind of like advertise their game on there, or whatever, and they're all been kind of the same way for Xbox first party games, right? With the way that they have it all drummed up right on the page. So you click on the game and you can see like, hey, everything about this game and like and all that stuff, and it's always the same. It's like the same people put it together, right? But then this one, when you click on it, it was different for the platforms, and I don't know what to think of that. I don't necessarily think it necessarily means anything. I just found it really interesting, that just Xbox Anywhere was an option to click as a platform.
I mean, I guess it's also that like because with the Anywhere, like you could play it on your LG TV or your fucking Samsung refrigerator or whatever at that point. So it's like,
I wonder if they start including that.
Yeah, they're just trying to start including that because like all those other devices, you can't just start listing out every fucking device you can play Xbox on anymore. So it's just like Xbox Anywhere. That's gonna be the listing beside it.
Right. Yeah. Like no matter what you fucking have, you can have this code and play it. You don't need a console. So they're trying to like, yeah, that's a good thought. Fuzzy, what do you make of the newest leaks / rumors, but potentially Asus? Don't know if it's Asus or not. I saw just where I'm getting that from, and I tried to look for it again, and I can't find it. I could have swore I saw maybe it was one of the Xbox era guys or somebody post under Jez's article. It's Asus or Asus, however you want to say it, like in parentheses. So I don't know what to make of that, but like, that's where I'm getting that from. But it would make sense also. So.
Yeah, Asus makes sense. I would say it's like 90% Asus or a 10% chance it could be Lenovo with Legion. Go variant kind of thing, almost like the
they
Legion
did
Go
with
S.
the Steam as well. That's a Lenovo, right?
Yeah. So the key thing about this, and this isn't breaking an NDA or anything along those lines. Like I'm surprised that it's been this long before they did the partnered handheld. Like after Gabe from Steam or Valve, however you want to look at it, they mentioned after the Steam Deck was originally announced and released, they made mention that they'd be willing to work with partners on, sharing the specs and doing like a partnered device or something like that. And at the same time, Xbox was doing the BO headset or the Bang Olufsen headset or something like that, which was like designed for Xbox. I always thought, well, it's bound to be like a Steam Deck that's designed for Xbox come out any day now. And, here we are, was it 3, almost maybe 4 years later and still nothing. So I would have thought that they would have hopped on it back then. But given all of the Xbox OS stuff that Jason Ronald's been talking about, I'm glad that they're finally announcing or we're getting this, more solid leak on a handheld. I mean, some of us have been hearing mumblings in the background for some time, but I'm looking forward to it. But I don't know where this lands on what my ideal handheld would be versus what this might be. I know there was an iteration where they were looking at the Snapdragon chipset, and that's where the whole emulation thing was coming in, where you would be able to play PC and console games emulated, although you're installing the actual app to your device. So it's playing it sort of natively instead of streaming, so you don't have to worry about, internet connections and things like that. But I think they may have either, canceled that idea, or maybe that's what they're saving for the 2027 handheld. The only drawback in doing that type of setup would be for games like Destiny or Call of Duty, where they have certain anti-cheat, where doing an emulation might not work so well. It's like the same thing that some people were experiencing with the Copilot PCs or laptops, where they couldn't play certain games, and that's something that they still need to work on. But then again, Steam even has that same issue with the Steam Deck on some of those same games. So although Steam, I think, it's been pretty proactive in trying to get that resolved, but I don't think Destiny you can do the PvP stuff in its current form on a Steam Deck. I could be wrong if they've had an update or not, but if this is not that Snapdragon chip and it's an AMD chip, I see this leaning more PC than console, but there are great programmers out there that are doing emulators for 360 emulation, or so you can actually play a 360 game on your PC. But Microsoft has been doing their own kind of version of that in the background for a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the back compat stuff can play on that same device. It would be nice if the console stuff can play, at least for the first party stuff and potentially any partnered third parties. But like some people have mentioned in the chat, it's hard convincing those third parties to give away a free PC copy or something to that effect. But I think the key thing that Microsoft has an advantage would be their metrics, or a lot of their behind the scenes numbers, where how likely is a customer to double dip outside of something like GTA, where GTA 5, probably everybody here on the panel has bought it at least twice at some point, whether it's for the 360 or PS3, PS4, Xbox One, the current series consoles, or PS5, or even PC. That's one of the few games where double dipping is like the norm.
Yeah.
So if you let those third parties know by the metrics that you're showing that double dip isn't a normal thing outside of that one game or maybe a handful of games, maybe this would be a way of convincing them that, hey, our customer is more likely to buy the game knowing that they get the 2 copies, because there's no way that they would wind up paying full price for 2 copies. If they ever double dip, it's usually like, okay, they might have bought this game on console at full price, and now that they got a PC, they might pick it up, but they're not going to pay full price. They're going to want to pick it up on a deep sale on Steam, where it's like, $10 or $15 or something, as opposed to the full price type of deal. So I hope they can make it so our console library, like I have, was it like 700 plus games that I own, another 100 or so, maybe even 200 that I got free as like the games with gold kind of thing. If those can play on this handheld, that's awesome. If the PC versions of those games can play on there as well, that's awesome. If it allows to sideload something like Steam Store, even better. Because at that point, then I won't need my Steam Deck. That can be a direct replacement for my Steam Deck. So I'm kind of hoping it leans in that direction. But I'm not holding my breath. I know the 2027 version will probably be the more likely to do all of those things. If this one can be kind of like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally for a lot of people that are on the fence of getting into the PC space, here's my advice. Get this device, get a dock, and hook it to a monitor or to your TV, get a keyboard and mouse for it, and it will more than likely be able to be like a low-end PC or probably a lot cheaper than what you'll even buy some of the pre-builts from Dell for and stuff like that. And if you want to see what it's like to PC game at least, or have access possibly to PC games that don't normally come to console, this might be the window in. Because I think that this whole transformation that Xbox is making will allow for more of those things to be playable on their devices and stuff. So it gives more people opportunity to play things like No Rest for the Wicked, or, you know, I think of another one that's coming to PC that's not coming to console anytime soon, but there's a ton of them. If you've ever looked on Steam when they have their big sales, there's like thousands upon tens of thousands of games that some of them, and probably some people won't have any interest in, but there are some cool ones out there that like a small roguelike type game, or early access to Hades 2 or something along those lines that, hey, you'll be able to play it on this device, or at least that's what I'm hoping. And I think they'll be able to accomplish that.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on to see, again, how all of it looks and works. Like getting a handheld device that's made by a different company, booted up. It looks like an Xbox dashboard on it, right? But then the library of games is different than your console potentially at launch, or maybe it will be everything. Who knows how it's going to work? But what I'm assuming is they'll have, the Xbox PC store and the, access to Game Pass on there, so you'll be able to do stream your own games and all that stuff as well, right?
Mhm.
But the key for them is getting more support for Xbox Anywhere for all the Xbox games that are on console that we already own, support the PC license as well.
Yeah.
So that's a good convincing. It's like, hey, everybody, give access to all of these gamers your game that they already bought
Yeah.
on console.
So I'm
Now they
saying,
need to
like,
be.
make it a feature or something for devs. Like, if you want to put your game, or
Well,
just
it
almost make it
is
mandatory.
now. It's what Xbox Anywhere is. Just a lot of devs just choose not to support it because they want to take the hope that they can get a small percentage of gamers to double dip, and they don't find it worth putting on the PC store for Xbox
Yeah.
right now because, you know, 90 plus, I don't know the actual percentage, but I'm assuming it's 90+% of gamers use Steam as a default storefront on PC. So it's like for the small percentage of people that buy games on Xbox PC, because I think most gamers that do use Xbox PC store are using it for Game Pass, right?
Yep.
And for the people that do buy games in the Xbox PC store, they are like only getting the games where they do the deals, like marketing deals or Game Pass deals will end up showing up in the Xbox PC store. But like a game like Monster Hunter Wilds that just came out, it's massive, right? Massive game. It's not on Epic Games launch. It's not on Epic Game Store. It's not on GOG or anything. It's on Steam. You know what I mean? So uh, that's going to be key to make it work, because if you own a device and it becomes one of your dedicated places you want to play, you want to be able to have the option to have either your library of all the third party games you've bought in the past, or also be able to play in that same storefront. Now, the good thing is with a device like that, you can still potentially launch Steam or whatever else to purchase games through those storefronts as well, which would be also a bonus on any future for Xbox hardware. But that doesn't do anything to help bring your existing library of 30 third party games over So that's where I think there's a key aspect there. And I think Xbox is going to do some work to try and convince these devs to support that feature, because I think that's one of the things that's key to make their future possible, unless they skirt around it somehow, like we talked about with emulation or something, to bring the console library that we all have onto the PC as well. Which, when you hear Jason Ronald talk, it's almost like that's kind of one of the things that could be possible. I don't know. JD Gamer hit us with a $5 super chat that says, "Isn't the Xbox OS just a hypervisor running on a forked version of Win 10? Is it possible to just take that whole thing in hypervisor form to Win 11?"
I mean, from what I know, I'm on the art side, right? But from what I know, it is technically a forked version of Windows 10, but it's kind of there's so many different like security measures and stuff where it's kind of um it's very hard to take that OS out of out of where it is, like essentially like you can't just take the whole hypervisor and then just run it on a standard Windows 10 PC. From what I know, I like the OS is kind of built to work specifically with Xbox architecture, so it's kind of just like locked down with all these different security routines that kind of prevent it from working outside of that environment. So, but even if you somehow extract it and you bypass all that different stuff, I mean, it's possible. It's just like it's just kind of
Well, it's interesting.
hard.
Well, I
Remember,
mean,
Windows got put under Phil in the gaming division, right? So
Yeah,
they're all together now working
well, at
on
the same
things.
yeah,
time, the
for sure.
Xbox OS is like super stripped down, so like you're not gonna have all the features, so it's not gonna like play right and detect right if you just like somehow get the Xbox OS to work on a PC, like because you're
Definitely.
missing so many different features and tools that are stripped out of Windows.
Now I know they talked about like certain features, like we're gonna bring a quick resume to PC. They talked about stuff like that, so it's possible in the future we may just see it more of a hybrid, even more of a hybrid on PC, but just not right now, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see.
William Riggs, member for 15 months, says, if GTA 6 goes $100, do you think others will follow? Um,
Um,
Rare occasions, but potentially yes. I could see certain games doing it,
Yeah, like really big games, I would think would do it.
like a Call of Duty or like a NBA
Prob
2K, stuff like that. So, but I think it's up to us, the gamers, to make sure that we don't like. I'm not gonna say don't buy something, right? Because like the biggest game of all time, probably most of us are gonna get it. You know what I mean? It's like, but man, what I don't like is hearing like when they went up to 70 originally, hearing all the podcasts be like, yeah, it's time. At the same time when all these companies like we were like COVID was just starting, right? Like everybody was staying home at this time, right? And all these gaming companies were recording like our profits are up 200%. And it's like at the same time, all these podcasts from like big games media be like, yeah, inflation, it's time for games to go up,
I'm like, no,
yeah,
shit,
and I'm like, come
shut
on,
up.
bro. Like if you fucking then you see like I think it was Activision was maybe the first one. You saw 2K. Then once I knew it was over, the second that Sony said that their games are going to be 70, because that was the actual platform holder um riding with it and supporting that themselves as well, and um I don't want to see everybody out there be like, yeah, it's time for $100 games, yeah, I mean, it's the budget, the amount of time it takes to make
Like
it.
y'all want to pay more?
Like
Like,
we
okay.
can
I'm
say,
just
fuck
surprised.
you, I'm gonna hand it over, but never do this to me again. Fuck, I hate it, you greedy bastards.
I'm just surprised that no one called out fucking Nintendo for charging Breath of the Wild $70 and then never doing it with another fucking game after that. It's like
Yeah.
clearly they just wanted more money out of you, and no one fucking said anything.
Look for Switch 2 games. They'll be 70, I'm sure. Um, yeah, it's interesting how the pricing thing goes. I think we can bitch and moan. But it's like once it's like accepted as like yeah, it's okay. The companies hear that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think 70 worked as well for many of the publishers as they thought it would this gen early on. The sales actually declined on a lot of software. And you saw games like Elden Ring launch at 60 and just do like massive numbers, and it was like, wow, okay, that didn't need to be $70. They made a great game, had a big budget, took them a long ass time to make, and they sold it at a decent price, and they sold a shit ton of copies, and now it's one of the biggest franchises in gaming. And for anybody making excuses that they would have needed to charge $70 for that or whatever, it's no, they wouldn't have ever had to. Um, and maybe if a game launches at 70 and people are on the fence on it, it's a little bit more of like, you know, the higher it's always a give and take when these companies raise prices, because the more you raise a price, you automatically know you will sell a little bit less, right? And but what's the profit going to be? Return on investment versus how many people you get. There's a trade off there, and how much will it impact your sales? I think for most publishers, it impacted them worse than they thought, because of the way the economy was. People didn't have a lot of extra money. Then they're all of a sudden asking more for games, right? The consoles still remained expensive for a very long time. So they weren't moving as fast as they were in the past, as well as they were hard to get. And, but you still had the games that were going to be bulletproof. You know what I mean? Because it's just people had to have them anyway. Some companies tried to get by it. Okay, we're doing cross-gen deluxe packs. You get both versions of the game.
I don't
Like
fucking want the last version if I have the
right?
fucking.
Yeah, exactly. If you Xbox had the best solution, what they called
Yeah.
smart delivery, was just like, hey, you buy the game, you play it on what device you have, as long as it's supported. Um, which I think is going to be important going forward. But I want to talk about more about that in a second. Shane G with the $2 super chat says price guess for third-party Xbox style handheld. I think the ROG Allies are around $500 right now. Is that
I
right?
think the shitty one is
The
right.
shitty one is. Maybe the more expensive one's like
Yeah.
600, 650. It'll be with whatever the better one is. Whatever price the better ROG Ally is right now, it'll probably be around that same price.
So 700,
yeah,
800.
Yeah, there's the 800 one,
How much
which I
is
think
this?
is the
How much is the Steam Lenovo?
Steam Deck, they have a wide variety of prices. If you're doing OLED, you're looking at, I think it's 650.
Not the Steam
top end
Deck,
one,
but the Lenovo one.
the
the
Lenovo Legion
Lenovo
Go
S. It was
is
supposed to be
750 at
$499,
Best Buy.
but yeah, it's not selling for $499 like they originally had it for MSRP.
So it's going above MSRP. Yeah. So
Or that MSRP got pretty much ripped up shortly before, because I think when they were talking about it before they announced it, or the official announced, it was supposed to be in the 500 range, and yeah, I think it either launched at 699 or 750 or something.
Yeah,
but it's not the 59 or 500 that they originally talked about.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. The good news is if you don't like whatever this first device is, hey, if you just wait a little bit, a few months, there'll probably be another one. And if you wait a few more months, there'll probably be another one from another manufacturer, and then another one. And that's kind of the era we're going into. That's why I labeled this kind of the device wars. I mean, out of the high-end platform holders, right? I would say PlayStation definitely is behind on this. Maybe they're doing work to make that possible, but they're gate kept for the most part to console right now, with kind of a delayed model going to PC later, right? And I think that gap is closing. But they don't have like this unified ecosystem kind of thing that Xbox is building, really. And that leads us to something about, well, access to your games and your library is the key aspect of what Xbox is trying to do. and that whole Xbox everywhere thing. And these kind of devices are going to be key to that, because now you're going to have tons of options of different kinds of devices you can buy, with this one being the first one. On top of your console, you can get a PC. You can play on the cloud. You can play on a stick on your TV. You can access games multiple different ways, right? Um, but I've what the vision that Xbox has with this is something I think consumers and all of us that buy digital products should ask for. If you purchase a movie, right? Or if you purchase nobody does this anymore, but if you purchase a song on a storefront, right? Like, that would really suck if you could only play it on one fucking device. Why does it have to be different with games? I understand that games are more technical as far as building for different platforms and ecosystems, but that's changing.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
the
that's the
part
question.
that's the part that's changing. Technology is changing the ability for us to be able to access our games in multiple places. So the companies that are choosing not to support that are only doing it for one reason: greed. If it's possible for them to allow us to access our games in multiple places, we should be it should be an expectation for us as gamers to be able to play what I buy wherever I can access it.
Yeah, Xbox has to make that the norm and kind of push the industry in that direction, because you get companies like Take-Two that are going to want to double dip. And Shane G
What
said in the
percentage of
chat,
people
said,
double dip, do you think,
Wasn't there like
it
a?
depends on the game. Like, I'm sure
I'm
people have double dipped on Minecraft and Call of Duty and games like that.
right?
No, I
But
think it was like there was like a CEO from his. I don't know if it was Take Two or it was one of the major publishers came as like, yeah, 80% of gamers double dip
They'll buy the
or something
same
like that.
product twice.
Yeah, it was
I
something
mean,
wild. Like,
I believe it.
It's just
I could,
nuts,
like I
man.
said, GTA 5 is probably one of the few games
Well,
that people double dip massively. Like I
I mean,
know
is
I'm
Strauss, if
part of
it's
the
Strauss, is he just getting his numbers from GTA? Because that's one of the exceptions where people have bought that game probably like 4 times. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, as
Yeah.
opposed
Now,
to some others.
there are smaller games that some people double dip. Like was it Empire Survivor is a good example.
Yeah.
There are people that have bought it on console and bought it on PC. There are people that bought like Balatro or even Brotato, like smaller games. I could see some double dipping because you spend $20 initially, and then you might see it on sale on Steam for $5. It's a hard thing to pass up at that point to some extent. Or if you're looking to play something on your Steam Deck versus your console, so when you're on the road, you can still play the same game, even though saves don't count unless you do a lot of manipulating behind the scenes. But yeah, I find it hard to believe that double dipping is a normal thing on games outside of GTA. Like I've been on the fence for double dipping on Destiny and Division 2. And Destiny before it became a free to play. Because I bought it originally on PS4. It would have made sense to buy it again on PS5, but then, or not PS5, on Xbox One. I didn't have to because it came to Game Pass for free, and then it was a free to play, so I didn't have to worry about paying for it other than the DLC that I bought for a discount or something right after it came to Game Pass. Division, if they did cross play and cross progression, I could see myself double dipping. But then again, if you look at the price right now, I think Division 2 is $5 or $7, and Division 1's like $5. So I don't know. Not I don't think many people double dip.
I can name specific games that I was like a big double dipper on, right? Diablo 3. I had that on the Switch. I had it on the Xbox. I had it on PlayStation. I had it on PC, right? GTA, because I wanted the
I probably
next
quadruple
versions
dip.
and all that stuff, right? Um, I think Batman, when they came out with like the trilogy collection or whatever, right? That was like
Oh yeah.
1X enhanced or something, you know what I mean? I think I dove into that one. Um there's a few, I mean, there's a few exceptions here and there where it's just like I was really excited, so I really wanted to experience the best on PC. Plus, also I wanted on console, right? For the access, but I don't want to like that. Those are the ones that I fucking cringe at these days. Now it's like I hated having to make that decision for Monster Hunter Wilds. Like it's just like why, why do I have to fucking make this decision right now? Like I just want to buy the game and either sit here and play it or sit over there and play it. Like it's so stupid that we don't have that ability with gaming these days for the most part. Where technology is today, like everything that's happened over the last like decade with evolving all these different features that we can use, with the fact that they're all built on the same architecture and all this other kind of stuff now as well. Like it is just it's just pure greed from the publisher's side to not allow that, right? So I do celebrate Xbox's ambition with Xbox Everywhere, as some are like, oh no, you're lowering the value of the console, or for me it's like they're increasing my value for every game that I get access to multiple places. Like Indiana Jones, I don't have to fucking make that choice. Avowed, I don't have to make that choice. I'm playing those games in multiple places, like on my PC, console, the cloud. Now, maybe I'm the exception right now, right? Maybe I'm one in a small minority of players that are using all these different access points for their games. But I think these other areas, the cloud and those handheld devices and all these other kind of things, those are the things that are growing, right? Those are the markets that are growing. Those are the markets that are expanding. And I think a lot of ex console gamers are looking to also these different places to access their games, kind of slowly migrating into other things over time. I know a lot of guys have started embracing PC this generation, right? I know a lot of people have started playing on cloud more this generation, you know. And also I've seen a lot of people start to buy some of these handheld devices this generation that are have just started coming out and stuff. So I think over time, where this market is small right now for some of those, it's going to keep growing and expanding. Now, if you look at where his head is at with that, okay, so if you say, well, I might sell a little less consoles because people technically don't need one if my game's available all these other places. Well, how many more gamers am I gaining in each of these sectors, right? Let's say there ends up being 5 to 10 years from now. Yeah, how many handheld third party device type things do we think is out there right now? Maybe like 10 million, a little less,
It's
or
somewhere between between 8 to 10.
okay. So let's say that half of those right now, or let's say 30% of them, are Windows based devices, right? Maybe those get an update to be able to support whatever the Xbox OS thing is in the future, right? Also, plus you have dedicated devices sold by companies like Asus in the future as well. Steam is going to be doing that. So let's say you end up having a 50% market share or so on the storefront launcher on handheld devices. Say 10 years from now, there's 20 million of those, 30 million of those out there, probably be more by that point. Well, that's another 15, 20 million plus gamers. You have your console audience. How many people have embraced the cloud by that point? So you look at where things are going, where oh yeah, everybody's like, well, nobody's going to support the Xbox store and stuff if they're only selling like 30 million consoles, 40 million consoles. Well, the Xbox store is PC, handheld devices, the cloud, and the console, and all these growing markets. You're having quite a large three or 4 million here, 3 4 million here, 5 million there. You know, it starts adding up into becoming this larger audience,
Yeah.
and we know that already from the monthly active users that are being reported, from Xbox on all platforms already. So,
Yeah. They
um,
want to grow from, not get rid of, if possible. And I know in terms of games that I double dipped on, like I double dip if it's like if I really enjoy a game and I want other people to like enjoy that same game, whether it's gifting family members, whatever. That's I kind of count that as double dipping because I'm buying it twice. um, I did that with several games. But like Hogwarts, I remember I did that. I bought that game probably 3 times. Um, just because I enjoyed it so much. Hogwarts, I did that with. GTA is like the main one. I think I did it with Skyrim because they had the special edition of Skyrim, and then I was like, "Oh, this is this old version. I want the new, stuff like that." Prototype, I think I bought several times. Um, yeah, like, and someone mentioned, two people brought this up. Because Shane first said, "I don't think it's a price thing. 70% of gamers buy 1 to 2 games a year. The industry is cooked. People won't spend money free to play in black hole gamers, killer US, whatever that means." I I mean, I agree that most of the gaming industry, like if you look at the top played games every single year, it's always the same games. Right? It's always the Call of Duties, the Minecrafts and stuff. I think when you look at the gaming market, it's interesting, right? Because those are always the top games, but then you can get a success of a game in a game like, I don't know, like Rust, for example. It may not have as many players as a Call of Duty, but it can still make uh quite a bit of cash for those development studios. um, it just won't hit that top 10 that's with the Minecrafts, with the GTAs and stuff. So I think the gaming industry is in an interesting spot also because of how they're thinking about microtransactions. Like the EA one of this, I think it was the CEO of EA or something, came out with why he thought Veilguard wasn't successful. He said it didn't have
oh yeah, yeah,
microtransactions.
it's fucking so
Just
stupid,
right?
man. Like,
It's
yeah, just
stupid.
Because Halo was too good, they made Battlefield look bad.
Yeah, they just come up with the excuses and stuff. But
yeah,
honestly,
that's like shit, random shit they tell their shareholders. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
every single time.
it's God, it's so stupid. Yeah, I don't understand the way that some of these executives think, and it tells you why the things that happen after you hear them speak. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
WB Games and the fallout after the closing of Monolith, and Jason Schreier's report on that time, but also back in January when he originally reported on it, with what was happening behind the scenes at WB. The decisions that were made on pushing developers into certain trajectories and like canceling projects of them allowing talent to escape and go to other publishers to, like, it just so many red flags, and it's like how can they not see it? But they didn't see it because they had a success in Hogwarts Legacy, right? So they were like, oh yeah, yeah, this is great, let's just make a tons of Harry Potter shit, you know. um, so they saw that, and it's like, hey, everything's gravy. We love gaming. These next ones are gonna hit so hard. They even got games of service elements. You know, it's like, oh wow, we're gonna make so much more money. You know, but then it's like they don't hit, and it's like, oh, what happened? Oh,
We're
what
so
happened?
at it much.
You know, well, it turns out as cooked as people say the industry is because people don't buy games because people are only playing the black hole games. Well, you still have games like Monster Hunter Wilds that are $70 and setting records, right? You have your Elden Rings out there. You have Hogwarts Legacies. You know, you have these games where people like, wow, that's fucking amazing. I gotta have it, and they go out and they sell more than they would have before. It shows that the industry and the audience is actually bigger than ever before. But
Mhm.
people are going to be more picky about what they're playing because if it's something that's just like something they already have or something that they're already enjoying. It's not going to pull them away from it. They're not going to necessarily go and stop playing something they're having a blast with to go play something that's just like okay or mediocre. But if something that hits and something is like seems like it's special and has a lot of hype around it, there's a lot of gamers out there willing to play. I mean, fucking Monster Hunter Wilds within like a day had over 1 million concurrent players on Steam. That's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like they may pay that was essentially my point. Like they may play 1 to 2 games. That may be the statistic. For a lot of gamers, they may play those different games, but like there is those other games out there that won't necessarily make the list, but it can still do numbers. But you know, I always see that people like bring that up, like they only play like 1 to 2 games, which it's like that is true for the casual audience, but I guess we speak mostly for us just as gamers that can kind of jump around. That's also the magic of Game Pass. You kind of Game Pass has made me buy so many different games just because like I play, I'm like, wow, this game is enjoyable, and then I buy. It does something weird in my brain where I'm just like, wow, I really enjoyed this game, even though it's in Game Pass. It's like, what if he goes away?
And for all those people that buy like 1 or 2 games a year, I'm sure that all of
Mhm.
us have made up for that, where we will buy a game and then never play it.
Same,
That's true.
yeah.
I mean,
I'm,
I think those games too, the black hole games, can be kind of gateways for a lot of gamers and kids and stuff. Like, and I'm just using my daughter as an example of this, but like she grew up playing Minecraft and Roblox and Fortnite.
Yeah.
She still plays Minecraft, Roblox, and Fortnite a lot of times, right? But now she's also playing Baldur's Gate 3, and her next thing is going to be Mass Effect Legendary Collection. And she ended up going and back and getting the whole Ace Attorney collection and playing through all of those. And she's starting to get excited for new games to come out and all this stuff, right? So it's like, and I know from the people that she plays with as well that they're kind of have been on that same track. So I think, yeah, there's these games that people spend tons of time with. You could have said the same thing about me last generation or even before. Like I spent probably 80% of my time playing fucking Madden and NBA and Call of Duty and Halo, right? Just those games. That was it. But every time a new game came out, all my friends made fun of me because I would like get all of the big ones and then I would play them and then I'd be done with it and just go back to my other games.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like that was always a thing to where I still bought and played these games, even though I spent most of my time on the other ones. Right. And then Fortnite came out and I spent tons of fucking time in Fortnite. I spent tons of times in Apex. When Apex launched, they had that like it launched out of nowhere. It was like rumored and then it just came out.
And the next day, I was like, oh,
Yeah. I was all I did for like 3 months was fucking play Apex Legends. Right? Like I was just like die hard into Apex, you know? And then I was like, okay, I'd moved on from it eventually, you know? And I think a lot of people are kind of the same way with a lot of games now. My habits have changed. I graze more than ever before, right? But there's also more of these games that keep existing that I always keep going back to more than ever before as well. So there's all these different metrics that play into it, but every year there's so many games to look forward to play. I just think access to them is going to be key because these games will live on. They're not going to be flashes in the pan anymore. Like it's these games, a lot of them aren't just going to be moments in time that they used to be. When you get a game now, there's an expectation for it to be there 10 years from now in your library on what you're playing.
Especially as they continue to update it, like 5 years from now, the game you're playing now is going to be a completely different game. Like,
and yeah, be way better. 100%. So yeah, access is key, man. That's why I love from that aspect of like what Xbox is doing, but they got to do the work and we haven't seen it yet. I think hopefully we'll see a glimpse of that at GDC. and start to get an idea of what it could be when this handheld device launches. And but like I said, I don't think it's going to launch like with the complete vision because I think that's reserved for next gen. But I think they're going to use these devices and stuff as kind of a stepping stone to get
Yeah.
there.
What do we know about just because like I briefly saw the two rumors. The first rumor that there's a handheld and that it was possibly from a third party partner, and then the other one was that the console's headed for 27 or something like that.
Yeah, shout out to Fonz in the chat because he was he was saying that a while back. Like, no, every time we would say 2026, he's like, no, it's fucking, I'm here in 2027. I'm trying to do my grumbled Fonz. It's 2027, Mav. 2027. They
Yeah.
said 2027. I think it's 2027. Every
Try-
time we
try-
said
no.
2026, no, I'm here in 2027.
No.
But yeah, I think yeah, 2026, like 2026 or 2027 was always within that realm, right? I think we know I think it was Jez that reported on that the design and all that stuff, the architecture was like approved or whatever. So now it's just a matter of putting all the pieces together, and maybe part of that is all this OS stuff that they still got to work on.
Yeah.
So
I guess we'll see.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see what it all looks like. What will any of y'all be interested in this? Let's say Asus comes out, it's like introducing the Asus Xbox Ally. That's pretty cool. Xbox Ally.
I just wanted to be
What? Oh
called.
man, they call it the Xbox Ally. That's pretty fucking cool. I like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
Xbox
mean,
Ally.
I just wanted to be called like I don't know, like just have an Xbox branding. Like screw the other brand.
What didn't you all come up with a name like the Handy or whatever?
That was mine. Yeah, I said call it the
Yeah.
Xbox, but that's for the native. Call it the Xbox Handy. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way if you're sitting next to your buddy on a bus, you can say, "Hey, you want Handy?"
I'm like what?
And then I guess the Handy Wars are going to start soon here.
Yeah.
So the console wars.
Yeah.
In a theater near you.
How many handies will you
coming
get? That'll be like the metric of success is how many handies you get.
And how much you willing to pay for a Handy?
Yeah. More expensive handies are more powerful, I hear.
Is this? You guys think they'll announce this in June?
They have a longer battery life, so they last longer.
Yeah. I wonder if all the games will have a happy ending.
That's the Handy Part 2. That's the the Pro. The Pro.
That's the Pro.
That's the better battery. Yeah.
Hopefully the Handy doesn't have pisser technology built into it.
Oh god. No, definitely no.
I think they're moving on from that one already.
Yeah, they're already given up on that. They're gonna try to back, or was it FSR 4?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna work. I guess it's like putting a supercharger on a seized engine. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a buddy in high school that had a Del Sol, and I think he souped it up a little too much. He ended up driving it around a corner into a fence. Probably be something like that.
I think that was just bad driving.
Yeah.
It could be. It was a pretty Del Sol. I mean, it was like baby blue, and it had a like body kit on it. It was all smoothed out and stuff.
Couldn't handle the horsepower, or
I think those were like 3 cylinders. Buzz,
Yeah,
am I right?
they were,
Or like they were tiny engine cars. I mean, they were like yeah, they were super.
yeah, they were like not really a micro machine, but kind of like a micro machine compared to like a Civic kind of deal.
Yeah, it was like the size of a Miata, maybe. Kind of maybe a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Colin Prime says 2026 is too soon if developers just now got the dev kits. I don't think they're just now getting it.
Xbox developers already had them.
Yeah.
I'm going to say and that's not like inside info. That's just like, I wouldn't say even common sense. But if they're going to release the hardware in 27, you figure that their dev teams would have it at least 3 or 4 years prior.
Well, there was that one Call of Duty leaker too that's been on the record twice
Yeah,
now for saying that.
talked about it like last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah,
They already have
the
it.
Call of Duty devs have had the dev kit. So, it doesn't. We were trying to speculate on that last week. But does that mean that that it is 2026? You know, but maybe we left open the door the possibility that just means they're specing it for that, so that way they can move it forward when it launches, right? But also, like, there's interesting things like this dev kit could have better implementation for like this Xbox Everywhere, Xbox Anywhere stuff, and developing their games for that also, and everything. So, don't know what's all involved with it, but it's gonna be an exciting time, man. This year we're getting a Switch 2. We're gonna have an Xbox themed handheld device. It's gonna look Xboxy but made by a different company. You're gonna have lots of games from first party from Xbox. And then probably more teases about the future as well, and of devices, and as they have more shows and more news. But yeah, it's 2025 is gonna be a pretty special year for gaming, I think. But 2026 might even be better. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Switch too, just seeing it. Because I
Next
know
month.
I've been dissing Switch for a while. So I am looking
Yeah, but
forward to them
the problem
seeing
with the Switch reveal though is like I
Mhm.
feel like I've already seen the fucking Switch and everything you can do from all the leaks. So I'm like, what are you going to show me that's actually going to surprise me at this point?
Well, what have you seen from the leaks?
I mean, like literally everything, like how the Joy-Con can be a mouse, like
Oh yeah.
like
That's I want to see. I don't know if game or any game leaked or anything. If so, I
oh
haven't
no.
seen it. I want to see how they handle just better graphics. Honestly, this PS4, just give me PS4 level graphics, and I'll be impressed. My bar is low.
No, I think you'll
Um,
get that. You'll get that.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I
Yeah,
want to do. So
I think
that's it.
I mean the next few like the first year or two the Switch is out, like any Nintendo Switch like first party game is still going to look like a Switch game just because like that shit's already been made for like the last 3 years. They've just been sitting on it. So
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
it's so crazy how they do that. It's like kind of sad. Just put it in the
Oh,
fridge.
let me get to the super chats real quick. We had, oh jeez, where did it go? There it is. A JD Gamer hit us with a $2 super chat that said, "What about a dual boot system, Xbox OS and PC mode?" I think that's probably kind of what we're looking at for potential consoles,
It,
right?
yeah, I
I
mean,
like the way the Steam Deck is.
yeah, that's Xbox can do it, I'm sure, but it's just I kind of said before, it's like the way it's currently designed, it's really closed off.
yep.
They're building,
It's
I
not
think,
gonna be
a
able
new
to-
Windows, like
Yeah,
dedicated
it's just going to
for
be
this in a way.
it's just going to be interesting to see how they handle that because like 3-Bit was saying, it is locked off, and like if they do it just like the handheld based off like the Series S specs, then I could see it being more locked down. But then like if they do more like PC, then it's gonna be more opened up. So like you maybe will do switch through like different modes and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just we'll have to wait and see
Yeah.
how they decide to handle it.
That's
yeah,
one of
'cause
the
it's not
things
built
as
for that.
talking about early on when the rumors were starting about the handheld, that like the Series S spec would make a lot of sense, you know. But now that we're talking about all these other hybrid devices, and if the next gen is a hybrid device too, then why wouldn't the native Xbox handheld also be a hybrid device? You know. So at that point, it depends on what the next gen consoles feature like are. Are they truly a hybrid, or are they going to be locked down? Right. But the way
Yeah,
that
Yep.
Jason Ronald and them talk, it seems like it's going to be a unified ecosystem across. Now that doesn't make sense unless you open it up, because you need to access the PC games as well, in that case. Like it shouldn't be a one-way street, right? So
Yeah.
like they to really be the true
Well, I mean,
ecosystem
like
that's
They would have
everywhere.
to re-
right now, like the way they're opening up their ecosystem is just putting on every device, but the ecosystem itself is still locked down, where you can only play what's put in there. You can't get other
Yeah.
shit in there like on your own.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so
That's
that's
just because of
why.
how it was written. So
Well, that's what they're that's what Xbox Anywhere is for, dual entitlement, right? That's what the stream your own game thing is for, which we're going to be getting. So they wanted originally. They said they wanted to get almost every game they had, like that you can get, put in the stream your own game thing. But that's been slow rolling out, a lot slower than I thought it would be. Also, so I don't know. GDC I think will be a big thing for some glimpses into stuff. I'm wondering if some of the leaks we're getting now is because GDC's around the corner, and then later in the year when they actually launch whatever this is, I think that's when we're gonna have even more of a glimpse into it. And at some point, I think just because Phil's done interviews and stuff, right, where he's kind of tried to address things and everything. Like at some point when they start marketing the next gen, if it is truly this unified Xbox everywhere kind of ecosystem that, hey, you're gonna get access to your games no matter where you are, like, and it's just gonna work, right? Then
well, I mean, the marketing for it's going to be like with the advancement of AI and the AI power chip, you can
right.
play your games anywhere on any fucking device because it can be upscaled and downscaled and all this bullshit. It's like
Yeah,
that's
but
what it's going to.
they need to tell us what games we're gonna have access to.
Yeah.
They need to be ultra clear on that, right? Like now they've made it a focal point of their entire ecosystem about what makes Xbox different is backwards and future compatibility, right? So we know it's a core aspect of what they believe in, but the back of my mind hopes that isn't just reliant on the cloud,
yeah.
right? I like the cloud. I think it's going to keep getting better. I like access to my games there, but I want access my games natively in as many places as possible, right? I don't expect to access my games natively on a fucking tablet, right? But on a PC, on a console or a dedicated handheld gaming device that's powerful, I expect to be able to play my games natively in those places, right? So, I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the core aspect of how they need to market it in the future. Is like, hey, if you buy it, you can play it, right? You
I
buy a movie somewhere,
mm,
you can play it anywhere. You buy a song somewhere, you can play it anywhere, as long as it has access to that storefront. Shouldn't be any different for video games in the future.
I don't think that's happening.
Not for a while anyway.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's
We'll
what their
see,
goal
though.
is. That's what their goal
Yeah.
is. That's what they're talking about, right?
That's where they eventually want to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Um.
because I'm just saying that just because
Well, I mean,
how AI.
that's how Xbox Anywhere is right now.
Yep.
It's just up to these publishers that don't support it,
Which they should.
right? So
Hurry
the
up, guys.
technology's there for it to be done. They just have to.
I'm just thinking of like the online, like the cloud, your cloud statement more so than anything. Like I don't know exactly how they want to tackle the cloud thing with how they're going to implement AI with like Muse AI, for example.
Mhm.
Like I I can't picture that. I can't picture that natively in any way. Because it's taking data from their servers and stuff like that. And I'm sure they're gonna use like the cloud as another point this time, like kind of how what they did with Crackdown 3. But this time, it's like this time,
Well,
you know,
that's when
it
you
could
get
be
into games that have cloud streaming, where you like for the new Call of Duty example, where like you download the base game, but then there's a lot of cloud streamed textures, so the game file size isn't 700 gigs; it's only 200
Sure.
gigabytes.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, true. I guess they can do that as
Well,
well.
that's the
Yeah.
way the flight sim is too, right?
Yeah.
The new flight sim is like a fourth of the size of the last one. I think it's like ridiculously smaller, but it actually in a lot of ways looks better unless your internet connection is not so great, then it looks like shit, you know? So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
um,
True. Yeah. You guys got me. I forgot about that. I guess they could go that route too and make it like a packet or
yeah,
something like
and
that.
mainly I'm not talking about brand new games that are gonna be like that. I'm talking about our existing libraries too, you know? So we got like fucking
Yeah, I
1,000
think I
games.
think the hard sell on that is bringing the existing libraries over. Like I can see a lot of the newer games, like as it continues to develop, like
Yeah.
publishers will be more open to it. But like it's just that hard sell of like getting publishers to go back to their old titles and be like, yeah, we'll put in a couple days worth of work to get this shit, and then it's like, well, it's not really worth it.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like Xbox is like, we'll do the work like we did for
Yeah,
FPS boost, you know, and backwards compatibility program, you know, but then it'll be
This
the
is a
publishers like, no, we like double dipping Xbox. We don't want to do
yeah.
that, you know.
this is an
So
interesting question, and I haven't even thought about this. Razor's question. Um, he basically said, should Xbox Play Anywhere let you play your Xbox copy of Forza Horizon 5 on the PS5 too?
Yeah, you bought the game.
in a dream world, yes, but
Yeah,
PlayStation
in
wouldn't
a
allow
dream.
that, right? The thing is,
Yeah,
PlayStation won't allow Xbox's store on the PlayStation. My thing is anywhere where the Xbox storefront is where you should have access to the game. So
Mhm.
like not on Steam, right? Unless you can import your Xbox PC into your Steam library, right? But like
You can, but
it's
it's like
tricky.
a
Yeah.
convoluted, yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky. I've
I mean,
tried it already. It's
you
like
do have
And
your
at least your
account though.
your saves will carry over still on some games.
right, they
So
will because of the Microsoft account, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Although Forza Horizon 5 won't support that,
Yeah.
but it will support
Like
cross
your
Oh,
promotion.
liveries will carry over, but your garage won't.
Yeah.
Which I mean,
hmm.
if you could carry over your cars, I would probably double dip, just so that way I can, you know, stop
compare
hearing
Yeah.
GT7
people
and
slander.
Horizon 5.
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of cool to have all the stuff I already have on my Xbox, as far as with Forza Horizon 5, pick it up on PlayStation and be like, yeah,
Yeah.
try these tracks, try beating my times here, or whatever, or the random jump that I did, or the drift zone, things like that. That would be pretty cool. Which I'm hoping those actually carry over. But if the cars don't carry over, it's like that'd
Yeah.
be so frustrating.
I think an interesting thing to that specific question is also like antitrust and the FTC and things that are going on right now as well. Because some of the stuff that's going with like these closed ecosystem and closed storefronts, like mainly with Apple and stuff like that, where they're arguing for the case that other storefronts need to be allowed on these devices, right?
Right.
So let's say there is a law that's put in place to where devices have to allow other storefronts on them as to be able to have competition, um, and not create a bad marketplace for consumers, right? That would be something that would be interesting because and it would start obviously with like mobile because it's such a huge
Even
thing.
that
But
though, just it doesn't work.
I agree.
Because like look at
But
if you have like an
that's
Android
what
phone, if
Xbox
you have
is supposedly going to be
yeah,
doing
because if you
with
have like a Samsung Android phone, there's two stores already on your phone. You just don't realize it. There's a Samsung
yeah,
store and a Google Play store. No one goes to the Samsung store.
right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like they have the default launcher as the
Like Apple would have
right.
iOS store, whatever it's called on there,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
as the
yeah.
default thing. So you would just
Yeah.
never see the other stores.
They
Which
already
is
had
true.
it where for the Epic Store, when you can install that on your phone, and it's like it keeps on doing these pop-ups that scare you half to death. Like, are you sure you know what you're doing? You're allowing someone to access to your sensitive information against our TOS or blah blah blah. And it's like it's almost like you're purposely scaring the people never to do this. So it's like
Yeah.
Apple's fighting it tooth and nail every chance they can, kind of thing.
It's
So
it's to where that basically they want to be able to you to be able to just open your app and it take you to
Yeah.
be able to purchase stuff within their storefront instead of have to do a bunch of workarounds to figure it out. Now, if there is actual like antitrust stuff or like cases come down where there's certain rulings and like it becomes everything has to be open, which Microsoft has been encouraging FTC and stuff to be proactive in fighting against that and trying to create open storefronts and open ecosystems, right? That is one of the reasons I think also a lot of the reasons why they're doing what they're doing, because they're trying to be the example of that, because they know that if that actually changes and they do that and they allow other storefronts on the Xbox devices in the future, they put their games in all these other places, right? Then there's more of a case to allow their storefronts in these other places, right? And also to be like, well, we have like all these things there, but we can't sell them directly. We're forced to give them, 30% or whatever. So we can't be as competitive as they are on their, products, and like creates these cases to where they're having the same things going on mobile right now. So now this would be a long way off. It'd be a hard battle to win. But if Microsoft actually causes that and wins this battle, right, overall, and creates this thing where this future is there's no more closed ecosystem devices out there, right? Every device has to allow you options to different storefronts, but through built-in apps or whatever, then Microsoft really fucking won.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
at the end of the
they would
day,
at least have a head start than
Yeah.
from other competitors. Yeah, for sure.
at the end of the day, like Microsoft's long-term goal with getting their games on every platform isn't just to have their games on every platform. It's about the control of data. Like they'll have all the user data
Exactly.
from like anyone, no matter where you are, and that's more valuable to them than just fucking buying a $60
Yeah.
Halo every year, whatever the fuck.
And their cloud running on,
Yeah.
everything, powering everything, the games being developed on their cloud, like the technology being used to
And other companies
Stream the
want to
game.
do it. Like Sony would love to do it, but it's like their current business model is not currently supporting.
Well, they don't
what
have the
Xbox
means or
wanna do.
technology to do it either.
Yeah, that's not their business model, or they can't really afford to do it to the degree Xbox is doing it. So Xbox kind of going all in is they are in their own boat. Like, yes, they may be third place in consoles, but in a way they are going around.
They're the biggest publisher in
in a
gaming.
lot of ways.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Can you
it's
imagine a PSN store or a PS store on your series console?
it'd be crazy.
That
I
would be
mean,
insane.
there is a world where it's possible, right?
Yeah.
It's just hard to fathom right now, and it's just seems so asinine that it's ridiculous. But it would take like new laws to make that a thing, right?
Yeah.
And if that were a thing, honestly, us as consumers would win because
Yep.
we would be buying all of our devices based on the best device possible and have access to whatever we fucking want.
I mean,
Right.
hopefully, like by the end of next gen, that's the kind of the way it is. Because like we're seeing that with like Apple, in like the EU and stuff, where they're forcing them to like only use USB-C chargers. Like there's certain countries and laws that are being put in to make these companies like make shit more user friendly and for people. So maybe
I
eventually,
need those here. No.
yeah.
Yeah. Gaming is like needs more digital rights and stuff like that too. So maybe
Yeah.
one day.
It's just crazy to be like in the world we are now and see where everything's moving to and stuff. And a lot of us are still stuck in the mindset of the way it's been for forever. And it's just like this big transitionary period right now, And it's interesting when these kind of devices are gonna exist because it's new, it's different.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it before. It's kind of breaking new ground in some ways.
Yeah.
So
You're gonna get pushback from the main ones.
Yeah, I mean, people don't like change. They
yeah. Man.
Yeah, but those same people adjusted when VCRs went away and CD players went away. So
Yeah.
Yep, true.
Yeah, but you never heard really like I never really heard. I mean, probably people did, but I never heard anyone bitch like when CD players stopped being in cars, because everyone was just like, "Oh, I just put it in my phone now."
What about typewriters, Jasper?
I think I was a bit upset, but then I realized, oh yeah, I can use the RCA jack. But then I didn't
Yeah.
really care for the RCA jack. So then the next car had, I guess, a USB A or whatever the regular
Yeah.
USB was, and then that was fine. But kind of miss making my own burn, mixed CDs
Yeah.
to some extent.
Yeah.
I was mad when mini disc didn't take off like I thought they would. I loved mini disc, man. I had this bookshelf stereo that had a 5-disc mini disc changer, and you could like rip right from the radio or from a CD to a mini disc or whatever, as well. It'd been like for some reason I thought the sound was better on the mini disc than the regular CDs. Then they were small and portable and stuff, and they didn't scratch, all that shit because they were protected. Um, yeah, but then CDs they got rid of those, and then CDs stayed around for a while longer, than they phased those out too. The only thing that sucked about that is like, what do I do with all my fucking CDs?
I'm in those notebook things with 100 pages of like little disc cozies or whatever in them.
Yeah, that's what I did with a lot of them. I think I sold some before, like, but now I mean,
Before they had no value.
Physical still exists for music, but now it's just for an enthusiast crowd, mainly for vinyl.
Vinyls, yeah.
So like
all things.
It's interesting to see how that's happened. The movies are almost all digital now, right? But you have your enthusiasts for 4K Blu-rays, and that are going to have the higher end Blu-ray players for their media setups and stuff.
And then meanwhile, they watch it on a fucking projector, so it's not even like good 4K.
Right.
But it's the movie theater experience. It feels like a movie theater.
Hey, no, don't knock those 120-inch screens, man. Fucking sound all around.
I go to drive-in every now and then.
Do you have a drive-in still?
Yeah. There's one, it's like 30 minutes from my house. 30, 40 minutes, something like that. And a lot of people still go. Yeah. It's usually packed.
Yeah, I basically just watch like a movie theater screen every day at work. It's like a 200-inch TV on the wall, and we just watch shit.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be watching like satellites and rockets and shit. And it's like watching fucking Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump 4K.
Yeah.
We have like 4 of those TVs like all along the wall. So like one TV is just dedicated for movies, and the rest is all like Intel shit. And it's just like we just
play Halo on one. Sick.
It's crazy, man. That sounds cool. But yeah, it's gonna be I want to see what happens here. It's gonna be fun times ahead to follow gaming industry. I mean, I still see people just going back and forth like just brick walls constantly, making the same arguments about this stuff over and over again, and it's just like I think at some point like people are just going to eventually kind of move on past their criticisms or hate or finding somebody to blame and be more interested in just what's actually happening, but we'll see. I think it was Destin that put out a video about like Activision wasn't worth it or something like that.
Like, bro,
what was the point, is what he said. And it's like I get some of the things that he's saying about like, hey, yeah, we would like more backwards compatible games for sure, right? But to write off the whole thing as to say that it adds like nothing.
He was just praising it like a month or two ago. So it's just like
it's kind of just like you see.
I mean, that's the only
stuff. It's like I don't know.
I mean, they don't have to because like they're their own company, but like I just wish they would tell us what their goal with Activision is, because like they've had it for over like a year now. Like,
right?
We said all the shit was coming, and then we're still waiting.
Right. So they've added some Crash stuff. They've added Spyro. They've added they're adding Tony Hawk 3 and 4. They've added Call of Duty 3. They've added Modern Warfare 3, and they've done Black Ops 6. Right. They have some older back compat stuff that they can add, and they also have a lot of the Call of Duties that they can add. And I think that's the big drop is people are waiting on those past Call of Duties, right? Because like, Prototype would be awesome, but I don't think there's like a hundreds of thousands of people being like, man, fuck them. They didn't put Prototype into Game Pass yet. What is Activision? Why did they even do it? Why? What's the point of even doing this if you don't give me the 360 fucking version of Prototype into Game Pass? I don't think there's like a mob outside of Xbox holding picket signs for that, right? I understand that a lot of us would like to see the whole Call of Duty library drop in there, and I think that we can all ask questions as to why that hasn't happened yet, right? But to act like they have done nothing and that there's no impact or that it's like, what's the point? First off, it completely ignores the aspect of, well, there's a point for it for the business, not just for us, right? And then the second thing is, well, there has been a lot of things that have been done so far and that we also have to look forward to as well. So um, I think at the beginning of that video, he said it's going to come across as entitled. And I think he hit the nail on the head, and it was the best point he made in the very opening statement. So anyway, but yeah, beyond that, like overall, the rest of the discourse, yeah, you can have things where we're looking at it like, why? I mean, we've talked about it here like numerous times. Like, it sucks. Like, wish they'd fucking tell us something about some of this. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's
I think
like,
it's one thing to say it like where it's like there's been no impact as opposed to like oh, I wish certain things
I
are
mean,
being
just
said.
Call of Duty Black Ops 6 alone being day one in Game Pass was
it's a
Was insane.
fucking
huge.
a massive deal. And when you say like, what's the point? Like, that was a fucking big deal, right? For Xbox and for gamers. That alone was massive. It's still the best-selling game from last year too, right?
Yeah.
So like, you look at that stuff like that, and it's like, okay, you say what's the point? Well, they're the number one fucking publisher in gaming now. You will look at it from their side. That's the point. You look at it from our side. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, and there could be more for sure, and we can critique that stuff. But don't take it into the point where it doesn't fucking the realm of like it was all worthless and like all this other kind of stuff. It just screams. It just screams to me, honestly. Shit, there's nothing to talk about right now. I left IGN. I got to make sure this
And I need
channel's
money.
popping, and I got to fucking make something dramatic and controversial. So I'm going to fucking come out and say what was the point about acquiring Activision Blizzard. Honestly,
Because I can only make 2 dozen cookies a week, and I can't make any more than that. So
no, he's done with that. He's done with that. Like, I'm not saying I have an issue with Destin personally and stuff, but like, it just, when you see this constant, and it's not just him, right? When you see these discussions, I made a tweet about this. Like, I just constantly see these discussions, these arguments back and forth, and it's the same shit people have been talking about for a fucking year, and they're not changing their opinion. They're not fucking changing their opinion. Like, it's just stemmed into this thing where it's just like, hey, let's make fun of this person, let's go make fun of that person for their idiotic take, and let's just keep going back and forth and tell it about how stupid they are and how stupid they are, and just like, let's not even focus on anything that's actually fucking happening right before our very eyes in news that exist. Instead, let's make up some dramatic controversial shit because I need my channel to take off because there's not enough news right now. And that's the reality of what we're dealing with podcasts and gaming podcasts these days and stuff. And I honestly, it's like, I'm so disinterested and sick of that shit. So I don't know if a lot of people notice, I'm not making as many tweets right now. I'm just kind of like, every time I open Twitter, I'm like, this is fucking stupid, you know?
That's why, like, the Fun Spec family shows, that's like the only ones I can watch because I feel like they're the only ones that speak truth a lot of times. So
Yeah. Right. And Nate Dogg says there's been a gripe we need to see more out of the ABK deal. I don't think anybody is saying that we would like to see more games.
Yeah, we're not
from
saying
the
see.
ABK deal.
Let's see less.
But like, to make a statement like, what's the point of any of it, is like, and to act like they've done nothing really is very far stretch. That's an extreme stretch of the imagination. And it kind of leads to, it's like shock value things. The more drama you create, the more attention you're gonna get.
Yeah.
We've seen this
Mhm.
from certain people as well numerous times in the community, in the gaming community, podcasting and stuff. You create drama, you create controversy, you create this level of sentiment where people have this feeling towards you. It's going to draw people to your channel. It's going to draw people to interact. It's going to draw people to engage. It's part of what a lot of these people do, you know.
Yeah.
So it's part of it. I can't knock them necessarily for trying to do what they got to do. I just had no interest in it whatsoever. It just like I just look at it like it's fucking stupid bullshit. As
Yeah.
It's
meaningless
not our
content.
this is not our content. I mean, I feel like most of the people that join FSP that are on this channel, it's just not us. If you want to go watch that content, it's fine. The coffee and all that different stuff, sure, it's out there. Can be
Buy my
entertaining, sure. But
beans.
it's just like, buy the beans, buy all the beans and all that. But yeah, we just we keep it in a different way.
Yeah. And the second
So
this ever feels like a job, I'm out.
I
I'm
think,
saying
yeah.
seriously. Like this is we do this shit for fun. It's a hobby.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? All of us here, we're like a family. We hang out. We shoot the shit. We talk games. We have fun podcasting together. We talk in the DMs. We do multiple shows. And like I said from the get go, the second this feels like another job, I already got a fucking job, right? I got one of those. I don't want this to be a primary source of anything. Hey, if that happens and it becomes a primary source of anything, you might see me doing some crazy shit like that,
Yeah,
right?
let's get
I don't
a
want to be
streaming app.
that, you know. But like, I'm just saying, like, it's you can see like where some of these people's heads are at, and um,
You
this
can
isn't
especially see it
not
like
fun.
when like there's some people, like I'm not gonna name names, but like there's some people that like they tried to be like honest and like truthful up front, like on their shows, and that didn't work, and then they just go into this fake let's console war the entire show, and they get big numbers out of that, and now it's just like their entire personality is just fake to me. So I'm just like I
Because
don't want to watch
it
you.
worked once, so now that
Yeah.
they've
Oh shoot.
understood what draws, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thing, man. I don't know. That I think there's still a lot of damage that was done last year in the Xbox community. Um, ever since those rumors started in January of last year,
Yeah.
and they started spreading around. There's like this energy that has kind of like decimated. For me, like the Xbox podcasting community, it was like everybody was just kind of cool with each other. Everybody kind of interacted, and we like DM each other occasionally and say what's up, be on each other's shows sometimes, and smile and laugh and joke and stuff. And then once those things started happening, it's like, hey, that Xbox creator is fucking stupid for saying because he says it's okay that they're doing this, and other Xbox content creators are like, you know what? I think it is okay. I think you're stupid for being angry about other people getting to play games. Right? And then the other guy's like, fuck you. I want value in my Xbox. And the other guy's like, fuck you. I want other people to play fucking games too, man. And it's like, well, fuck you. How come you're a flip flopping asshole that used to say this shit, but now you say this shit? And the other guy's like, well, fuck you too, man, because you used to say that shit too, and now you're saying this shit. So fuck everybody. I'm just gonna fucking call out shit all the fucking time. And it's like, what happened?
Yeah, definitely change up.
I'm just over here playing fucking Halo or whatever. It's
like where did everybody go? What's happening? Can I still play games on my Xbox?
No.
Do we have more first party games coming out this year than ever before in Xbox history? Probably.
They don't count because they're no longer first party. I've actually heard that. I'm like, hey, what?
I'm just like lost in this
I
fucking
didn't
other
even
world,
think about that.
man. It's crazy.
But I guess it did start around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Oh wow. Something to think about.
man, you can't trust any of these people because they say one thing and then like a year later they have a different opinion. What?
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, when did that happen that we're never allowed to like change, or have move forward with time and like think differently as things happen? Like, I don't.
No, I just seen the
I
takes
got
where it's just like
receipts.
where people were like mad that like accepting Microsoft's vision for Xbox One and go everywhere multiplayer, like that's
Well, I mean,
that's the direction they want to go.
before Microsoft even announced that, there was like 2 years before this. Like we were having this conversation, and Psycho was going absolutely fucking insane on the
was.
show. They're like,
Yeah.
No, no.
It was because it was because Jasper, I said that
The Elder Scrolls
I
thing,
think
right?
that after ABK, depending on what happens to the FTC thing and all that stuff, there's a world where Elder Scrolls 6 could be multi-platform. He's like, but Phil said it was exclusive, motherfucker. There's no fucking way. God damn it. No fucking way. I'm going to go fuck my neighbor. Oh my God. There's no way that could ever happen where Phil tells us this shit. Somebody hand me some fucking mushrooms right now. I was like, Psycho, calm down, man. We miss Psycho being on the show. Anyway.
Yeah.
And then like it was
Psycho.
like this rumor started getting a little bit further along. He's like,
yeah,
yeah, I could see it
Okay.
happening, and I'm okay with it now. Yeah, I don't really know what I was thinking that time.
It was just a moment.
Yeah, no, it's for sure, man. It's like we all have passion and emotions when it comes to gaming because we all love it so much, right?
Yeah.
When rumors first started happening, Fuzzy was like, I think I'm not going to buy any more third-party games on Xbox. It was like a couple of weeks later, he's like, okay, I guess, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I have to really think. I want to actually go back and look at the show when it was first announced, because I was like going through, like I was like,
yeah, it was like me and Steel were the only ones in the DMs. It was like, guys, let's calm down, okay?
I was like, no, shut up, guys. Like when it first happened, now it's like whatever, like because, but I think when it first was announced, I'm like, oh, here it goes. Man, I can't even really remember exactly what I was saying. I think when it was first like with that conversation with Psycho with the whole Elder Scrolls thing, I was like, I think I was with Psycho. I was like, yeah, they're not gonna do that. That doesn't make any sense. And then I think that was my stance. And then later on, I was like, okay, maybe I'm starting to read some tea leaves that they're going that route. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to look at some of our views back when that was announced.
Yeah, I mean, nobody in the Xbox community foresaw what was going to happen.
Not to this degree.
I was always saying back then, I think Wolfenstein 3 will be the test case because it's going to be like the next major Bethesda game coming out. That shit's still not even out. So
right. Yeah. I like there was a time early on when it just like because the ABK stuff, it was like the more integrated they get over time, they're going to start seeing all the Call of Duty money, all these other games that are other places bringing money. At some point, they're just going to be like, well, why aren't we doing this with our other games, right? I don't think anybody in the Xbox community at all expected them to do what they started to do last year. And it took everybody by surprise because it got extremely accelerated, right? And it took a lot of people by surprise. So you had a lot of different reactions. You know what I mean? Me personally, I never had like a emotional attachment to exclusivity. You know what I mean? So it didn't necessarily burn me if something's going to other places. I just look at it as like business wise. It's not what I would have done at the time. And I think over time, I'm starting to change my opinion on that slightly just because I see how more things are changing in gaming as we month by month, it seems like almost. And I think overall, a lot of Xbox guys have really back and forth reactions to it, and you've seen a lot of them change. Last year was the year of doom and gloom, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they had a lot of good games, especially in that second half. Last year, it was the year of like, oh no, everything's ending. It's all over. The console war is done. and all the people that were attached to the console war, with their identity, I think took a lot of pride hit
That was a
with
big
it.
thing with
Yeah.
a lot of people, their identity being tied to the brand
But
to that degree.
I'm
Yeah.
like, at this point, it's like, I mean, they've been saying it, right? We already know all this happened. It's like, it's just, let's look at what Xbox is going to be now, and let's figure out how it's going to work, and figure out how it's going to benefit us or not. And man, gotta hope for the fucking best, because I want my library to be supported, and I'll guarantee you one thing: no amount of bitching and moaning from anybody out there is going to get Xbox to not put games on PlayStation.
Yeah.
They've made that clear.
Once I came to the conclusion, like my whole thing, I'm starting to remember my thoughts on it. I was like, okay, as long as like my library is good, then whatever. I don't really care at the end of it. Like if I can still play on Xbox, if I can also play from Xbox PC and that's like more seamless over the future, then I'm cool. I don't really it doesn't really affect me if Xbox starts putting games on PlayStation. I do like talking and discussing like the business side of Xbox of like what does this mean for the brand, and that's stuff we talk about on these shows and stuff like, oh, what's going to happen with the brand, and is that going to be damaged? That was like conversations we had, but for the most part I was like, yeah. Whatever. As long as I get to play my games, as long as um my library and stuff is cool and whatever in the future, and they're still making other consoles. I think that was a big thing. Like they're no longer making consoles was like the immediate thought from a lot of people dooming and glooming around that time. Like I feel like the Xbox podcasting community went through several different topics. It was that Xbox is pretty much dead now. That they're no longer going to make consoles. Um, that the whole console war thing, like PlayStation One in a lot of console war channels, it's harder to console war when Xbox is putting stuff in your competitor platform. So that was just this doom and gloom month, year, whatever. So I'm it's not completely died down. Now it's like I feel like are we at the acceptance stage yet?
Yeah, I think we're at the acceptance phase where everyone's
Okay.
just like, okay.
Yeah, because I think a
I
couple
think
people
some
are
people are in the blame phase.
Oh, blame face. Yeah.
Yeah, where some people are in the who's to blame for it, because they're accepted it, but they need like somebody to blame for it, right? So they're looking for somebody to blame, and
It's Game Pass's fault.
yeah. And then we're also like a lot of people that had been upset, especially from the Xbox like content creator and podcaster side, and also from a lot of people in the chats that I see are been more on the acceptance side of it too,
Yep.
right? To where we're like now it's like, okay, cool, we got some news to look forward to. Hey, there's a device that's actually Xbox like device coming out, or like there's another game announcement surprise. There's another game announcement surprise. Oh, this shit's not so bad, because I can still, like we said all along, you can still play your games where you want to play them. And if it's on Xbox, then it's on Xbox, right? So that's nothing. I think most people realize nothing's really changed for them.
Yeah.
Like it's not like there's a fucking PlayStation logo on in the middle of the screen with a watermark when they're fucking playing Halo on their Xbox.
Like I can't see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see.
Forget
You
the
don't have
PS
some
logo.
fucking PlayStation troll like, ah, motherfucker, I got your game.
Astrobot like pops up during a
Right.
Halo match.
Yeah, exactly. It's just games, and we're all still playing them where we want. So
Thank you.
looking forward to more, because I think we're gonna have more announcements this year as well. Well, everybody, we had one topic today. It seems like, I think, except for
Before we go to tidbits, I'm gonna head out. So
okay,
I
yeah.
get ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
So yeah.
have a good one.
Check me out, Lord Jasper, Twitter, all that fun stuff, and then I won't be here Friday because I got work Friday. So I'll be here on Mondays. So catch me then. Bye.
Right on, man. Take it
Bye,
easy, bro.
Jasper.
Have a good one.
Yep.
All right. Well, we do have one more segment here on FSP, and it's called This is Tidbits, a segment where we look ahead at the game is releasing for the week. And what do we have in store this week, Fuzzy Belvedere? Let's find out.
All right, the first one is Beyond the Ice Palace 2, coming to PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC. Actually, PC came out Monday. All the consoles comes out Tuesday at $17.99.
This looks sick.
Yeah, it looks like Dead Cells.
Yeah, I'm
Dead
digging
Cells
that.
/ Castlevania. Yeah.
Beyond the Ice Palace.
Wield the chains that imprison.
Anyone in chat has played this, let me know what you thought about it.
Discover areas where they
I am getting Dead Cell vibes. And that is one of my favorite games. I wonder if it's also... His health is low as heck. I wonder, is this like roguelite? Like, you die and then you basically have to start all over, but you may get permanent things you run through? I don't know.
I think it's more just Metroidvania. I don't know if it has as much of a roguelike aspect to it.
Okay.
I don't remember Beyond the Ice Palace 1.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
heck? Never heard of.
Guess it was good enough to get a sequel, though.
Yeah. All right, this next game is Centum, coming to PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch and PC this Tuesday for $11.99.
Looks pretty twisted.
Yeah. It's more of like that visual novel kind of deal where you're stuck between two time frames or something, or two realities.
Centum.
No
That might,
idea what that is.
that might cover it.
I want to leave.
But cool.
Is this a state of play? The first couple have that PlayStation.
No, this they were the main ones that had like recent videos of it. Now this one is Chernobyl Liquidators, coming to PS5, Series X and S this Tuesday for $19.99. I believe this one's already on PC, so if you look to play it on PC, it's already available on Steam. I think it actually might be on sale as well.
Reminds me of Quantum Error.
I think this one's put together a little bit better than that.
Yeah. I think it was just a fireman thing.
Yeah.
Evacuating a village torn apart by radiation. Our toughest battle wasn't against the fallen, but against the human spirit. A secret mission with unknown bases. In the heart of the zone lies a mystery that could change everything. A final mission that could save or doom us all. Will we choose truth?
This past year or so, there have been a lot of games based around Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been just thinking about Stalker the whole time.
The ultimate sacrifice to prevent disaster.
This is more like a sim style.
Will you have the courage to face the fall?
Yeah, that's
or
interesting.
will
Wow,
you
I
be
never
consumed
heard
by
of
the
that.
shadows of
Chernobyl Liquidators. Play it today. Tomorrow.
Now, this one people may remember on PlayStation, but it's finally coming to PC, and in my opinion, it looks a ton better than it did on PlayStation. This is Rise of the Ronin. Like I said, coming to PC this Tuesday for $49.99.
I might eventually dive into this one when it goes on sale at some point.
Yeah, same.
Right, so cool. I'll wait for Mav to play it. See what he says, so I don't have to buy it.
Okay. Have y'all watched that Tetris movie on Apple TV?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
It's really good.
Yeah, it reminded me of that sneaker movie or whatever, but it was
Oh yeah, about the Jordans.
Yeah.
Air. Yeah.
Air, yeah. It was really cool. It made me interested in the actual story of Tetris, and I looked it up later, and it's pretty accurate. So,
Yeah, it was crazy. We watched it last night. It was
no idea.
also the movie The Founder about McDonald's. Really good. It's also
I still haven't
in a
seen
way
that one.
similar in some ways.
Interesting. This next one is Wander Stop, coming to PS5, Series X and S, and PC this Tuesday for $29.99.
I like the style. I wonder what the heck? What is this?
Not exactly sure on this one.
But this looks like a farming game where you mix ingredients and shit and make potions and stuff. I'm guessing. This is probably the farming game of the week.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Making a cup of coffee.
so I may like it then.
I could be completely wrong. This could be a coffee making simulator.
Then I will like it even more.
You gotta fight with birds to make sure they don't steal your drinks.
This could be Angry Birds 5.
I'm wondering, like, you make drinks and
Wander Stop.
what was that? Understop.
We will never know because I will never play it.
It's literally a game about making tea.
Okay.
This
Is
next one is
Diablo 5.
This one is Fate Reawakened. Coming to PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, and PC this Wednesday, $24.99.
Looks fun.
Right, this next one is kind of a limited run game. The Phantom, coming to PS4 and 5, Series X and S, although it's not available on the store just yet, Switch and PC this Wednesday for $22.99.
A sole survivor washed ashore. The
I
young
like the
boy was
style.
nursed to health and swore an oath. I swear to devote my life to the destruction of all forms of piracy, greed, and cruelty. May my sons and their sons follow me. This is the legacy of
You know what? I feel like I know that dude.
I am
Yeah, it's the Phantom.
the Phantom.
What was
He's
he,
a comic book character from back in the day. There was a movie, The Phantom, with Billy Zane in the 90s. Early 90s.
Okay.
There was this
I think there was
era
a
of...
game during the time, too. This
Yeah,
is
there
like
might
a
have been.
remake of it.
There is an era of, like, comic movies that were, like, these different characters and stuff. They had The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. You had The Phantom. Remember Dick Tracy?
Oh,
Movie
yeah.
with Warren Beatty. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did see this a long
Where
time
have you
ago.
taken-
But people love the Phantom movie. I remember my brother loved it, especially. I was really young when it came out, so I don't remember about it.
Wow. Okay, that's a memory I forgot I had.
Now, this next one is coming to another platform, Dungeons of Hindenburg, which was in Game Pass, and I believe it's still in Game Pass, is finally coming to PS5 this Thursday for $29.99.
It's a cool game.
Traitors!
Yeah.
Traitors!
Hey, we got to play it for free, basically in Game Pass for I guess like a year now,
Yeah.
or at least 6 months.
Yeah, it's a good game. People should definitely check it out.
Would say this is well worth the $29.99.
Yep. Izzy was actually playing this game quite a bit. Oh, I didn't know you could change outfits actually. I never beat it though. I got like decently far.
I think I've only gone through like 3, maybe 4 dungeons, I think. So
Yeah.
I'm still kind of early on.
Yeah.
Now, this next one is Mullet Mad Jack, which comes to Xbox One, Series X, and S this Thursday for $19.99 or playable in Game Pass.
So it's like
Game Pass
Oh,
becomes
nice.
Cyberpunk Duke Nukem or something.
Yeah.
I'm playing this. This is freaking awesome.
Be on the lookout for this on Thursday.
Mullet Bad Jack.
In Game Pass, bro. So cool.
And then this is probably the big game for this week, although gameplay doesn't start up for probably a minute, but WWE 2K25 coming to PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S, and PC this Friday for $69.99. There's obviously other editions that go up a lot higher for different content, but if you're a wrestling fan, this is the game to pick up this Friday.
Yeah, kind of like haven't really gotten into a wrestling game in a long time, so it's time. I did end up picking one up on sale a few years ago, but I ended up really like not playing much of it. But
Yeah, the
the
last one
island mode intrigues me a little bit.
Yeah.
WWE 2K, I think it was like 13 was like my most played game for like 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. I've just been playing the NBA games in terms of 2K, but
So 2K24, I believe, is on the stream your own game feature. I wonder if this is going to end up being.
It should be, because it looks like Take-Two is down with this stream your owned games.
I'm just wondering
so-
why they're not at launch. You know what I mean? Or if it is at launch, like, because you would think that would be a thing to where they could get it to where it's just like, okay, an expectation of some of these companies that are supporting it are gonna support it with their games and not dump a bunch later. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, hopefully it becomes more of a thing. Pretty decent week there for Tidbits. Not the best,
Yeah.
but definitely not the
Better
worst.
than a lot of other weeks.
Yeah.
Beyond was awesome. Beyond the Ice, something I will be
Yeah.
checking that out.
Yeah, I saw that on the Xbox store, and I was like, "What's that?" I didn't click
Yeah.
on it, but now I saw it on Tidbits. So, well, everybody, this was a fun show. We didn't get around to a whole lot of topics, but we had one massive, big, fun one to talk about with Xbox and kind of the future of the devices and ecosystem and stuff. And but yeah, thanks to Jasper for joining us earlier. Had to get off to work to protect us all from alien invasions. 3-bit, thanks for being here as well, bro. Tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, this was a great show, and always a blast to do this with Humav and Jasper and Fuzz, my brothers. You guys can find me on Blue Sky at i3bit. This week was crazy for me. I could barely make this show, honestly, but I'm glad I did. But we'll be back to our regular schedule of Pixelated Echoes on Sunday, so check us out then. And other than that, I'll be right here on Monday. Appreciate everybody in chat for checking us out each week. You guys are amazing. So I will most likely this gaming this week, like with Split Fiction, that game is so good. So I definitely want to finish that game off if possible this week. If not this week, it's probably next week.
Yeah.
So I'll let you guys know my thoughts on that for sure in a future episode. So check that out, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Right on,
Bye.
bro. Appreciate you. Also, I did miss this earlier. Razor Ultron hit us with a $2 super chat that said Matt Piscatella said 80% of gamers buy 0 to 1 games a year. I don't think I got to that one, so I wanted to make sure I did.
Oh.
Yeah,
makes sense.
it's a lot of people just are gamers, but they may barely play anything. But
They're fake gamers.
the other percentage buys a shit ton of games. There's a small
Yeah.
percentage of people that buy a lot of games, right? Well, Fuzzy Belvedere, thank you for being here as always and helping out with Tidbits, making that go every week. Tell everybody where they can find you, sir.
As always, greatly appreciate being on here with you guys. Shout out to Lore Master Jasper. Keep us safe from the alien invasion, but always love doing this with you, Mav, and you 3-Bit. And everybody in the chat, thanks for showing up. Greatly appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. The support's always appreciated. And for those who want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on social media. Just do a search for Fuzzy Belvedere. You'll be able to find me. This weekend, doing stuff a little bit different since going on the Monster Mania trip, first one of the season, or first one of the year. So I might be just posting pictures of HorrorCon stuff as opposed to doing stuff otherwise. But hope to see you guys here next week, same time, same place. Thanks again.
Right on, bro. Appreciate you. And everybody in the chat, you guys rock. Thank you for being here every week. Audio listeners, shout out to you. Appreciate y'all as well. And yeah, we got more shows coming this week. Thursday, we got PM in the PM with Pong Soul and I at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Friday night, as always, Xbox Ultimate Podcast at 9 p.m. Eastern. And look forward to hanging out with everybody. And I hope you all have a great next couple days. And we'll see you then. Take it easy, everybody. Peace out.
Bye.
Later.